I think you can say that from NASA engineer to making Halloween costumes.
Brief hiatus in between NASA and Apple.
It was like an entrepreneurial thing because my first video ever was a Halloween costume where I had an iPad on front and an iPad in back of me. You like cut a hole in the shirt and it looks like you have a hole in your body if you do a FaceTime call because the FaceTime camera pointing forward will record the hand and it shows it on the back. And it went really viral. That was my first ever video. And I was like, dang, I have more ideas than this. So I basically done one video a month since then. But part of that were people like, cool idea, bro, but I don't have $1,200 for a Halloween costume. So the next year I was like, oh, we just had a design on the shirt. Let's say it was like some guy's scary guy looking eye. And then I made a free app that had an eyeball that I filmed that was moving around. If you cut a hole in the shirt, duct tape your phone to the back of the shirt, it looks like this like animated t-shirt that looked wild. And that was pretty successful. So I did that like nights and weekends, grinding, made this free app, made the t-shirts. And it went well enough that like a year later, I sold the whole thing to these guys in the UK who make morph suits, Halloween costumes. And then I worked for them for 2 years. And so that was like, it was more of like an entrepreneurial opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And people were like, how could you leave NASA for that? But like, it was, it's one of those things that in the moment, it made a lot of sense.
It was the rovers on Mars.
Yeah.
So,
What are you going to do?
Okay. Then you do Apple. I went and looked at all of the patents that you've got registered online. It's not a small number. There's quite a few.
There's one that I was like lead author on, which is actually a funny story because someone at Apple was like, hey, you have all these cool ideas for YouTube. Where's your banger idea for Apple? And literally like a week and a half later, I'm in a meeting about some stupid software tool. And then I had this idea of like, what happens when you combine a virtual reality with a self-driving car? Like, what are the implications of that? And I literally started shaking because I was like, whoa, there's so much here. Essentially, like a car is the world's greatest motion simulator. So if you go to an amusement park and you have motion simulators to simulate moving forward, they just tilt you back like this. But then your butt's like, wait, but now there's no pressure on my butt. That doesn't feel quite right. But in a car, you could actually simulate moving forward by moving the car. So it's like there's a lot of entertainment and just ways not to get motion sick, right?